Good evening. I want to call to order this meeting of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners and welcome all of you. We're happy to have all of you here with us tonight. We're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Wendell Elementary School student Vanessa Carbajal. Vanessa is a fifth grade student and is an outstanding example of academic excellence and strong character. And she's a real sweet young lady. I met her earlier tonight. She consistently demonstrates a high level of achievement across all subject areas, approaching her work with focus and curiosity and determination. In addition to her success in the classroom, she takes pride in serving on safety patrol, where she shows responsibility, leadership, and a commitment to helping others. Respectful, dependable, and kind, Vanessa is a positive role model who contributes to a supportive and productive school environment. We're so very proud of you, and we're happy to have you here tonight with us, Vanessa. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, for our invocation tonight, we're going to hear from Karen Marsh for the Wendell Council of Churches from Covenant Presbyterian Church. Good evening, and thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Let us bow and pray. Lord, we're gathered here this evening as neighbors, united by a shared concern for this community of Wendell. In the midst of our decisions, discussions, and differing perspectives, may you guide us with your wisdom, patience, and understanding. Grant us clarity of thought and openness of heart. Help us to listen, not just to respond, but to truly hear one another. May respect shape our words, and may our choices be rooted in what serves the greater good. Lord, we ask that you give us courage to speak with honesty, the humility to hear others' viewpoints, and the grace to work together, even when it can be challenging. We ask, Lord, that you be a part of this meeting, and may we see cooperation, purpose, and genuine desire to serve our community for today and generations to come. In your holy name, we pray, Lord Jesus. Amen.
Thank you again. I believe we have one adjustment of the agenda.
Yeah, we'd like to add to Section 4, recognition of communication awards.
Okay, let's make that 4D. And do we have a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of item 4D?
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. We'll move to our public comment period now. Just a quick reminder that this public comment isn't an opportunity for back and forth or just having conversations with the board at the dais. You can come and just tell us your thoughts, and that's, we'll make a note of it, and we can apply your thoughts and your concerns to our deliberations. I also want to remind you that it's our business meeting, and we don't permit outbursts, side conversations, applause, cheers, anything like that. We need to maintain some decorum and have an appropriate kind of meeting. If the public wishes to participate in public comment, they can sign up at the door on the way in on the night of the meeting, or they can submit written statements via email to the town clerk. As long as you do that by the Friday before the board meeting at 5 p.m. and include your name and address. If it's timely received, it'll be read into the record for 3 minutes, and if you speak personally or in person, you get to speak for 3 minutes. Tonight, we have 3 people signed up and 1 written comment. And a quick reminder as well, if you are here, because we have several public hearings tonight, and if your comments were regarding one of those, you may want to save your comments until the time of the public hearing. You'll have an opportunity to speak then and it'll be on the record of the public hearing and not just in public comment, but you can certainly do that if you'd like. The first is Barry Perry.
Thank you. I'd like to hold my comments till
Okay?
section 5.
All right, Roger Peterson.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. My name is Roger Peterson. I live at 4490 Wendell Boulevard in Wendell. I also serve as Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here to speak in support of 3 members of the Chamber of Commerce who you'll be discussing, specifically agendas items 4C, 5B, and 5C. Item 4C is a proclamation recognizing April 18th, 2026 as Line Worker Appreciation Day in the town of Wendell. The work performed by our Duke Energy line workers is critical and inherently dangerous, and I would submit that is often taken for granted. Not only do line workers face significant risks in their daily duties, but when storms threaten, they don't have the option to go home like most of us. Instead, they stand ready to support their communities, helping friends, families, and neighbors in times of need, and often traveling to other parts of the country to assist those facing hardship elsewhere. For these reasons, the Chamber of Commerce wholeheartedly supports this evening's proclamation. Item 5B is a public hearing to annex and rezone 2.82 acres in order to construct a child daycare. Tonight's public hearing is a vital step towards bringing a sorely needed child care facility to Wendell. Shelby and Brian Catchell already own One Lightbridge Academy in Wake Forest, and we are excited to have them bring their knowledge and skill in providing children with a nurturing and safe environment to Wendell. As our employers continue to expand, quality child care is not just beneficial, it is essential for our workplace of today and tomorrow. Therefore, the Chamber of Commerce concurs with the Planning Board's recommendation and supports the zoning map amendment CD 25-01. And item 5C is a public hearing to rezone 4.15 acres to enable construction of 3rd Street Apollo. The 3rd Street Apollo is another bold step forward for Wendell, strengthening our reputation as a destination not just for residents, but for visitors from across the region. You may have even spotted it on the free parking square of your Wendellopoly game. This project directly supports the vision outlined in Blueprint Wendell 2030, and tonight's public hearing is a key step in turning that vision into reality. So the Chamber of Commerce stands with the Planning Board and recommends approval of zoning map amendment CD 25-06. Thank you for your time and your consideration of these comments.
Thank you. And Clint Lightsey.
Hello, Madam Mayor. Thank you for having me. My name's Clint Lightsey, 59 Heathwood Drive in Clayton, North Carolina. I just wanted to say a few words about 5A, the moratorium on the data centers. I'm an environmental consultant, and what I wanted to bring up is that the data center in the long term could become an environmental hazard. Once they become obsolete, the land could become unusable. I feel like also I wanted to, bring up the philosophical outlook on these data centers, and that y'all take into consideration the long-term effects on society. That, we're becoming more and more, our society is becoming more and more technologized, and it's taking us further and further away from nature and being human. And I think y'all should take that into consideration when you impose the moratorium, to also study the effects long-term on society in general. And thank you for the time to speak.
Thank you. All right, and we had one written comment submitted, and we're going to have the town clerk read that.
The written comment is from Pauline Armstrong at 6008 Winged Willett Court in Wendell. Data centers. Data centers drain energy and water. Data centers cause environmental noise pollution. They are allowed as airports. Data centers do not create jobs. They drain energy. Having one potentially in the ETJ is also a no vote. They should be completely banned altogether. It should always be a no vote. There's enough data to support not having any level of data centers in Wendell and/or in the ETJ. If the town needs to do a study, this should be in conjunction with having other surrounding towns also do a similar study and cost share the overall study. Be fiscally responsible. This board should be clear as outlined in the North Carolina General Statutes, the process to start and to end a moratorium. Pauline Armstrong.
Thank you. All right, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's move into section 4, our recognitions, reports, and presentations. And can we have Ms. Davis come up to the podium? Item 4A is a recognition of Wendell Elementary School Counselor, Ms. Kate Davis. Ms. Davis is always there to support our students. Students face a wide range of challenges at home that impact them every day. Ms. Davis is always there to help support them in the classroom and equip them with tools and strategies that they can be successful at home as well. She frequently checks in, is very responsive and supportive when we reach out. We just wanted to have you here tonight and thank you for all the things that you do for our kids in Wendell. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, item 4B is a proclamation recognizing April 22nd, 2026 as Administrative Professionals Day. Let's see. This isn't all of them.
No.
We need a lot of support. Whereas administrative professionals play a critical role in coordinating the office operations of businesses, government, educational institutions, and other organizations, and whereas administrative professionals are important frontline public relations ambassadors for their respective organizations and essential contributors to the team-oriented environments in which they work, and whereas the duties of an administrative professional require advanced knowledge and expertise in many skills, including communications, computer software, office equipment, project management, organization, customer service, and other office management responsibilities, and most importantly, have the willingness to learn and accept new challenges. And whereas the town of Wendell is incredibly proud of our talented and highly skilled administrative professional staff, and officially recognize and appreciate their hard work, support, and continued professional growth. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners, I, Virginia Gray, Mayor of the Town of Wendell, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2026 as Administrative Professionals Day in the Town of Wendell, and encourage all employers within the town to recognize and appreciate their administrative support. Duly proclaimed this the 13th day of April, 2026, and it's signed by me. We just wanted to have y'all here and thank you for everything that you do. And the list is miles and miles long. You're the first face most people see when they visit the town, any of the town facilities. So we thank you for that. I know it's challenging sometimes. And let's get a picture real quick. Okay. Item 4C is a proclamation recognizing April 18th, 2026 as Line Worker Appreciation Day in the town of Wendell. I think we have some. Yeah. Whereas on April 10th, 2013, a resolution was passed in the United States Senate to recognize April 18th annually as National Line Worker Appreciation Day, and whereas the profession of the electrical line worker is steeped in personal, family, and professional tradition, and whereas line workers are often the first responders during storms and other catastrophic events, working to make the scene safe for other public safety officials, and to expedite the return of vital electrical power to our communities. And whereas these brave men and women work with thousands of volts of electricity, high top power lines 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, risking and sometimes losing their lives to keep electricity flowing. And whereas line workers are often faced with dangerous conditions, far from their families, as they work to construct and maintain energy infrastructure throughout the state of North Carolina and the United States. And whereas line workers must use their technical knowledge, physical strength, and ingenuity to achieve success in challenges they face every day. And whereas the town of Wendell thanks these skilled, heroic line workers who brave hurricanes, ice storms, snowstorms, floods, and other natural disasters to maintain our community's energy grid. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Virginia Gray, Mayor of the town of Wendell, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim Saturday, April 18th, 2026 as Line Worker Appreciation Day in the town of Wendell. Duly proclaimed this the 13th day of April, 2026. We wanted to have y'all here tonight, and thank you so much. I think you get thanked, I'm sure, but it's truly from the heart. Really, we really mean it. We get real excited when the electricity's out and we see you come by. Y'all were my best friends after Fran. I remember vividly. And then there's been other occasions, ice storms and things like that, and they're always happy to see you coming. So thank you for that. And I know that you've left your family at home because you're there helping me with mine. So thank you for that. Let's take a picture.
It all worked. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
If you guys want more, I can put more.
All right now, Braxton. All right, item 4D is the recognition of communications awards received this weekend by Communication Director Tyler Newman.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. So this past week in Beaufort, North Carolina, we held our annual NC3C conference. That stands for NC City and County Communicators. And the town of Wendell received 4 state awards. The clerk is passing them down for you to view each of them. Annually, this is held in North Carolina, statewide. Brings together city and county communicators from across the state to learn, listen, collaborate, and network with each other. It's a very valuable time that we all appreciate. At this year's conference, of course, we did win 4 awards, the Excellence in Communications Awards, recognizing products released by communications staff to the general public. The town competed with dozens of other jurisdictions from as large as Raleigh to as small as some of the towns up in the mountains. Entries are judged by Minnesota communicators for fairness, and the awards are here on the next slide. For promotional video, we won 2nd place for the announcement of Hollybrook Park's grand opening last May. For a single social media post, we also won 2nd place for Hollybrook's grand opening. That was a great video. For best use of humor, we won 2nd place for the announcement of our holiday decorating contest in November. And also for best use of humor, we almost swept the category. The video where we use the John Hamm meme celebrating the reopening of the intersection of Wendell Falls Parkway and Wendell Boulevard. I would like to briefly acknowledge those who helped make this possible. For the Hollybrook Park video, Jeff Sinkavage, who is a drone pilot and on our Parks and Rec board, he assisted with the footage. He's phenomenal. He couldn't be here. He was at a meeting in Phoenix tonight. For the holiday decorating contest, the actors, Talina Loy, she's here, and Stephanie Brantley, both for finance and planning. They assisted with that. And then for the John Hamm video, Braxton Macklin, who's our IT specialist in the AV room, he stood out there with me for about 30 minutes and 20 different takes to ensure that we got what we wanted, that it was perfect. Love what we do. I don't do this alone, so I wanted to make sure that they got their recognition as well. But thank you for your continued support.
am so, so proud of this and of the fact that I love that some of them were about humor. You know, I'm always talking about how we need to have some more levity and things get so serious sometimes. And it's nice to see that. It's nice. I laughed out loud when I saw them. I didn't see them until everyone else did on Facebook and Instagram. And I just busted out laughing. They were really funny and fun. And they also were informative. So thank you for helping get the word out and information out to the public. It's very important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I have an opportunity for a shameless plug, if you do not follow the town of Wendell on Facebook or Instagram, please do so. There's a lot of valuable information that can be found there. Thank
A
you.
lot of information is there. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll move into section 5, our public hearings, and the first is item 5A, a public hearing on a proposed moratorium ordinance regulation on data centers, data processing facilities, and cryptocurrency mining. Mr. Coates.
Yep, good evening, Mayor and board members. Glad to be before you tonight. We have a series of public hearings. So this first one is we're asking you to hold a public hearing. You passed a resolution at the March 23rd meeting setting the public hearing for this item. We ask that you consider making a motion to the adopt attached moratorium ordinance, which is on data centers, data processing facilities, and cryptocurrency mining. We may ask, what is a moratorium? In North Carolina, a moratorium is a temporary legal halt or suspension of a specific activity, law, or obligation commonly used by local governments to pause development approvals while updating plans and regulations. We are authorized under the general statute to do this. Public hearing is required anytime a moratorium is longer than 61 days. We did our notice with Wake Weekly. And the length of the moratorium shall be reasonable and may not exceed the period time necessary to correct, modify, or resolve such conditions. The proposed moratorium, as we've mentioned, would apply to accepting, processing, or approval of applications for the development permits related to data centers, data processing facilities, and cryptocurrency mining. The Board of Commissioners at your March 23rd meeting did pass a resolution authorizing the town to initiate this process. The purpose of the moratorium is to allow the town sufficient time to study the potential impacts of such high-intensity digital infrastructure on our public infrastructure, environmental resources, land use compatibility, and community character, and to consider appropriate updates to the town's Unified Development Ordinance, otherwise known as our UDO. Town is currently in the process of updating our UDO. We have a consultant, Kimley Horn, who's working with us. We also have a town staff committee and have started this process and hoping that it will be wrapped up by the end of December of this year. Town's current UDO does not clearly address the uses of data centers, data processing facilities, or cryptocurrency mining, and so there is a need for a pause until we can develop those regulations. Temporary moratorium would commence on April 13th, expire on December 31st, 2026, or upon approval of the new zoning regulations regarding data centers, data processing facilities, cryptocurrency mining operations, and other similar uses not yet defined in the UDO, whichever occurs earlier. At this time, the town has not received an application for a data center. The action is staff requested to recommend protection of the public to ensure the land use code is updated in the event that the town does ever receive an application in the future. I can field any questions. We do have this scheduled as a public hearing for this evening as well.
Okay, let's open the public hearing, and I have a couple questions. Have we received any kind of a request or comment or questions of any kind about a data center coming to Wendell?
No, we have not.
None.
None.
So we're just being proactive and trying to show good governance.
Yeah, we are. There was an application in a nearby community in Wake County that has now been withdrawn, but there's working groups at the county and at the TJ-COG level as all the municipalities are addressing this issue in a variety of ways.
Yeah, because it seems to me like over the years, there's been several things that have come up that maybe weren't addressed in UDOs, and when towns get ready to update their UDO, it's wise of them to include those new things that maybe have not been included previously. That's just my opinion.
Correct.
And this where this falls. It's not because anybody's trying to sneak a data center in, is it?
It is not, no. It is being proactive to address those land uses if there were applications.
So that should make citizens happy. That's just my editorial comment. That we're trying to be proactive about it and not, okay. I may have another question in a minute. Are there any other questions or comments from the board right now?
One quick one, and it kind of, I think, feeds off of your question, Mayor. Brian, can you flip back to the previous slide real quick? On the last sentence, really, can you just kind of talk through the scenarios of, since our UDO does not clearly address these things today, what would happen if somebody came and said, hey, Brian, I want to build one of these today?
Yeah, so we would immediately start to work with our town attorney staff to figure out what category does it fit, does it not fit, what regulations would apply. And from a staff perspective, we don't feel like there's clear direction. And so when that gray area exists, when a land use or an application is submitted, it creates potential for lawsuits and other things for us as staff and as a town, that we like to be very clear with development on what regulations apply. And in this case, we just aren't sure, because there's not a definition of a data center or cryptocurrency mining in the UDO.
And thanks for that. Just to make sure that my sort of understanding of what you just said is correct. When there is that gray area or that lack of detail within our plan, it makes it more difficult for us or for y'all as staff to do anything about a proposal like this. Sometimes we have fewer tools at our disposal to be able to clearly guide that proposal through our process and make it fit for Wendell. Is that
Correct, yes.
basically?
And also, when you look at our UDO, it was developed more than 20 years ago at this point. The word light industrial.
Or stop it. I guess I should have said that as my whole sentence. Make anything fit or say no if something.
Yeah, for example, the term the UDO uses light industrial or neighborhood manufacturing and things like terms that in today's world, what does that mean? We might have known what the intent was 20 years ago, but in today's technology, and I know you all have heard me say this before, the word solar is not in our UDO either. So it's not just data centers, data processing. There's other topics that are now very relevant that we just don't have addressed in our UDO. And so this UDO update is crucial for us moving forward.
Madam Mayor.
If I could. Water sewer allocation policy, and that guides whether or not water is granted to a use, and it's very permissive for industrial uses right now. And so that's another reason that they're a high utility and water user. And so making sure that we have the appropriate protections in place to guide the long-term growth of our community for all uses, and not have something come in that unduly puts hardship on our community.
Yeah, I believe this is addressed in the text of the resolution that we'll later consider, but can you talk just briefly about what the staff process will look like, assuming we do pass this moratorium, to assess what we're capable of doing, what we're legally empowered to do, best practices, whatever you'll consult with?
Yep. So currently, staff is participating in 2 different levels: Wake County group of municipalities researching the topic and how to regulate what other places are doing. There's also a TJ Cog group that is the larger Raleigh-Durham region. So we're a part of both working groups. We have plenty of sample ordinances that other municipalities in the country have related to those. We're also working to make sure things, North Carolina state statutes are different than, let's say, Virginia or others. So we always have to make sure we're in compliance with our state statutes. But staff will, with our consultants, work over the next 7-8 months to develop regulations in place and standards that can address those uses and the concerns. And so it's a variety of things. And when the UDO comes back to you, and I think there's a lot of public questions about banning uses. We can't ban a use totally from our jurisdiction. You have to have standards and procedures and allow them by certain standards or zoning classifications. We can't ban a coffee shop. We can't ban a data center. We have to have regulations that can limit where they go, but we can't outright ban certain uses, any uses.
Anyone else?
I've got one, Mayor. So I've had people come to me and give me the pros of it. Obviously, I've heard the majority of the cons. But it's hard for me, and I fully understand staff needs time to develop what the definition is, even if we knew what it looked like. Let's just say for a moment this perfect unicorn existed that would not affect our power, not affect our water usage, have no noise pollution, have no site pollution. and allow us to lower the tax base or lower the tax burden on the residential users. Let's assume for a moment that unicorn could be found. We don't even know what it looks like right now. I've never seen a unicorn, and maybe we never will. And I know we can't ban it, but I think it's good for the public to understand that we at least must have time to decide what it looks like and how we can protect ourselves. And I think it's important that we give them that time to do so. So as far as tonight goes, I think the mayor said the same thing. We hear and we understand, but the steps you have to follow are what we're doing tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, it's important that we proceed in a way that we protect ourselves from vulnerability in a lot of ways, and legal vulnerability, and the fact that it isn't a use. So we've got to protect ourselves and protect the town from that. Is there anything else from the board? All right. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak in favor or against the moratorium? You need to come up and come up to the, you have 5 minutes. Give me your name and address.
My name is Jim Parker. I live at 6317 Weathers Road, Wendell. I've lived here for 50 years and seen a lot of things go and come. And what I would like to get y'all to kind of see down the future is don't be in a hurry to make up all the rules and stuff for this thing. Apex just put a 5-year moratorium on this thing. Y'all, till, what was it? When was the end of the moratorium that they just talked about? Look, that's not enough time for y'all even to catch up with what's, what it is and what it's going to do. We need to see all the things that these data centers have done. These people just didn't make up these things and say, hey, man, it's polluting the water, you got to have extra electricity. No infrastructure, just like, we're going to plop it down and people can still be driving the tractors to go field to field, and we got tractor trailers coming in behind them wanting to run them over, So anyway, I would ask y'all to not be in a hurry to fix your UDO or make up whatever, rules and regulations you need if you decide that you want to put this thing close by. And I think that's what everybody else would like to see also. Now, y'all got any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next. Give me your name and address.
My name is Ray Hunnett. I live at 205 Dogwood Trail in Wendell, and I have lived here for close to 80 years. I'm in favor of the moratorium. I am not in favor of data centers. Very quickly, I know you have heard all these things I'm going to say, but I'm going to say very quickly, data centers use a tremendous amount of water. The EPA says that a typical 100 megawatt data center uses 530,000 gallons a day. That's the same amount of water used by, and listen to this, 6,500 households. It'd be like 1.5 times of Wendell Falls using water. Also, they use a tremendous amount of electricity. Usually utilities upgrade their infrastructure, and guess who pays for it? The citizens. Many data centers have noise pollution. Residents living in the center say they emit a high-pitched whining noise 24/7. It's similar to hearing an airplane engine running constantly, except the plane never takes off. The jobs for a data center are very few, and many are temporary. Property around the data center loses value very quickly. The land can't be sold, and if you're unlucky enough to have a house nearby, nobody wants to buy it. Data center generates significant electronic waste due to frequent replacement of hardware, such as servers, GPU, memory, and storage devices, and I don't even know what a GPU is. I see no benefit of allowing data centers in our area, and I'd appreciate anything y'all could do to not have it. Now, I have an addition I want to add. I'd like for you to include another type of warehouse operation in your moratorium. We do not need any detention centers in Wendell of any type, and I think you should look at that also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, I'm up. My name is Robert Klon. I live at 1621 Raven Falls Drive in Wendell. Good evening, Commissioners, my fellow residents. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here to ask you to protect our town, not from progress, but from a decision we can't take back. Data centers are being built across North Carolina at a staggering pace, and the consequences are becoming clear. A single large data center can consume as much electricity as 200,000 homes. Duke Energy has said that data centers account for roughly 80% of its projected growth in energy demand. That's not a statistic that stays on paper. That's something that we will feel in our utility bills, in the reliability of our electricity, and in our daily lives. And it's not just electricity. These facilities require enormous amounts of water to cool their servers, especially during summer months. Right now, North Carolina is experiencing a drought. Wendell's water resources are not unlimited, and we should not be gambling them on an industry that has no obligation to limit how much it takes. North Carolina is one of the few states that doesn't require a water withdrawal permit for industrial users. That means that once a data center is here, we have very little control over how much water it uses. There's another concern I would like to raise. The 2024 Disaster Recovery Act prevents local governments from downzoning property without the written consent of every affected landowner. What that means is this: if we rezone land to allow a data center, reversing that decision later will be nearly impossible. We only have one chance to get this right. I'm not asking you to close the door forever. I'm asking you to keep it closed until we have the real answers. How will our infrastructure handle the load? What protections will our residents have against rising costs? What happens to our water and our environment? Communities across the state, including our neighbors in Apex, are all hitting pause for the same reasons. Wendell should do the same. Please support the moratorium, take the time to study this issue thoroughly, and put Wendell's residents first. Once we make this decision, there may not be a second chance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Sorry, I know I already spoke,
Okay.
but I want
5 more minutes.
to expand upon the ideas I was bringing earlier.
Tell me your name and address
Oh,
again.
sorry. My name's Clint Lightsey. I'm an environmental consultant, live in 59 Heathwood Drive, Clayton, North Carolina. But yeah, I could also speak to the physical footprint of a data center, and also agree with the gentleman that, said 5 years is really just a drop in the bucket, given, how fast these have coming into popular culture lately. And from what I can tell, what they're for is to expand a technology, that's called artificial intelligence, and the need for massive repositories for data, because there's no other reason why we would need that amount of, space to store data other than artificial intelligence, which is just basically a vacuum cleaner that takes all the data it can get, and then through the use of a matrix turns out, data that is usable for us to make us more efficient, more productive. So I guess, is the question is that the road we want to go down as a society? I just, want to bring up, Frankenstein. Mary Shelley came up with that story in the 1800s, and it's still very real today, is that when you create something, you should create it for the benefit of society, not just to create it, because it's something, that's good for you or good for capital, or, you know, a good for a small group. You should look at the whole entire public. And so I think that, you know, a minimum of a moratorium to study the, you know, not the physical, not the capital expenditures, but really its impact on society as a whole, and where does Wendell want to be, you know, putting themselves on which side of the road as far as, you know, a moral stance on data centers and what they represent. And then the last thing I want to say is that, you know, we're already down that road. We're, you know, connected to technology more than anybody can imagine. Basically, every one of us here is a cyborg. You know, we're part biological and part technological. We all have phones glued to our hands. Some of us have hearing implants, you know, knee replacements. We're already very much down that road. And I think the further we get doesn't make us better. It just makes us different. And that's, you know, something we should think, you know, is that really which way we want to be going, further away from, you know, God's green earth and nature, and, like, you know, being at one with where, you know, where we came from, rather than trying to control our environment to make us, you know, some kind of way more technological advanced. But anyways, thanks again. Appreciate y'all's time.
Anyone else?
How we doing, folks? My name is Donald Cervellini. I live at 4412 Canna Street here in Wendell. I'll be brief, and please excuse me. I found out about the meeting late, so I didn't have a chance to prepare a whole bunch. I'm going to try not to repeat any of the points, which I do think were all good points. We understand the electricity use and the water use, and I do agree with those points. I do want to touch on, my son has epilepsy. And I think because of that, I stay kind of dialed into just health, environmental things, the impact that we're finding things are having on children. We're lucky. You know, we know what causes, but we don't always know what can trigger things. So you just, as a parent, tend to follow. One of the things that I found interesting when I was learning about data centers is that we don't understand the health effects it's going to have on the populace that surrounds it. If we use Northern Virginia as an example, we're seeing that essentially pollution from that center, or the effects of that center, are going into Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and more strongly affecting the citizens of Northern Virginia. We've seen estimates of health costs between $190 million to $260 million that the people living around those data centers could incur, especially those with asthma. We've seen other analysis say that it could be upwards of $300 million. That's just in the Northern Virginia area. Issue is, these deals for these data centers have been fast and murky. We don't know why we need them. We don't know who's actually asking for them. We're not even sure what they give us as a society. What we do know is that we have an opportunity to push this, kind of kick this can further down the road, let other people figure out what the health negatives are. Maybe we sit this one out. Maybe we let other societies in other towns find out the negatives, or we focus on making this community what we've been. And I have to say, I've only been here since 2022, and I've been very impressed with what I've seen Wendell striving towards and the community it's trying to build. I don't think this fits the plot, so I hope we kick this thing further away, that we don't have to deal with it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Carol Hennett. I live at 205 Dogwood Trail, and I have been here a long time. Not quite as long as Mr. Hennett, but I'm getting there. I think we have heard a lot of great information tonight, but I think we need to look at what we have now. We have typically been a residential community. If we begin to build these large facilities like this, you've heard all the cons. I can't really think of a pro right now. Land is limited in our area. Are we gonna give it up for something that may or may not be of any value to our community? You know, I'm glad to see that we're updating the UDO. If we don't keep it updated, it's nothing but, we had a town manager one time that said, just throw it on the $1 million bookshelf and don't ever, it'll just be an antiquity. So it needs to be up to date. I'm glad you all are talking about a moratorium, and the more I learn about these facilities, the more I think that this is not enough time. Towns need to be talking with their representatives to get some attention from, I say, the federal government, tongue in cheek, but this needs to start higher than municipalities in Wake County. We need to know where's the money coming from? Who's running these things? Nothing you read says that they do a lot of hiring. They just do a lot of polluting and taking your resources. I hope you will pass this moratorium, and if there's any way you can stretch it out longer, I think you need to, because there is not that much good information out there that you can depend on. I think it's going to take a while for municipalities to get together with the people who know about bits, bytes, all this stuff. I can turn the computer on. But, you know, we have got to get on solid ground with this. And Brian said we can't zone it out. I say let's put it on Atlantis, and then we'll just call it a day. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate what you're attempting to do.
Thank you.
Y'all did get some good information tonight.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is J.D. Barker. I own a business at 280 West Haywood Street, Wendell. A lot of good information was brought forward today, and this is my first time at one of your board meetings, so I don't really have the time to participate that much. But again, what's been said tonight is very important. I guess I would just like to know what the consensus of the board is on data centers. Do you have an opinion? Do you, one way or the other, or is it just something you're collecting at the time, or do you have a feel for negative or positive or disappointed? Whether or not
This isn't
you,
a back and forth. You just
Oh,
get
I'm
to tell
just
me your
curious.
opinion. You'll get to hear the opinion when they vote in a little while, I
okay.
guess.
Oh, okay.
To know
Good,
that.
good, okay. And then another question I have is the moratorium, is that something that you might extend if you cannot reach consensus? Is that something you consider?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, well then. Oh. Okay, all right, well, thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Regina Harmon. I live at 6616 Tails Branch Road. I put together a petition and I sent it to all of y'all earlier today, and I wanted to hand Brian the 144 names I got from just putting it out there one time. I appreciate the fact that y'all are talking about a moratorium. Based on what I heard earlier from Brian, he gave some great information. You're only going to do the moratorium for about 8 months, I think the date was. It'd be nice to see that extended out much longer so we could actually do some research on this, because all the research that I've done, the harm that it brings to your community, the impact on water studies, everything like that. But there's one thing that I did find, and I'm hoping that I'm wrong in this based on what Brian said. Siemens is significantly expanding its footprint into Wendell, North Carolina, specifically to support the growing demand of an AI data center infrastructure. So I guess my question for you guys to talk amongst yourselves is if Siemens is doing that, and they've put it out there on the internet and the web, that they're in Wendell and they're wanting to do this, was this the ask that Pauline High Armstrong had made to y'all in one of the emails that she sent to you? I'm just curious about that, because we know that Siemens is in the process of building that massive spot out there across from, Sheets. And I'm not sure if they're planning on putting a data center with that or behind that or anywhere near that, but being that it was an ask, I wanted to bring that up. We also, everybody else has brought a lot of great information. I'm not going to repeat any of that. I would request tonight that if you do put a moratorium on this, can you say something in there that when you write the UDO, that you absolutely will not do a data center until all the studies are done and you've looked at multiple other data centers that are across the state and see how it's affected their town when it comes to money coming back or infrastructure issues or anything along those lines? You know what I'm talking about. And the last thing I want to state is, believe it or not, Governor Josh Stein actually posted just a few days ago that he is not in favor of data centers and wish that we would spend the money on other things. So maybe it'd be a good thing to reach out to him as well. I know several of you are hopefully in close touch with him on your day-to-day basis when you go to work, and maybe that's a question that you can reach out to him. But I'm going to leave it with this again. If you do a moratorium tonight, please make it a lot longer than 8 months and maybe 3 years, 5 years, something like that. And put the appropriate wording in there that will make everybody in this town comfortable that you guys are actually going to look into the details of this. Thank you so much for your time. Have a lovely night.
Anyone else? All right, anything else from the board?
Yes, I'd like to make just one clarification. Specific to Siemens, Siemens is a manufacturer of pieces and parts that create these data centers. They support them in that way. So Siemens is looking to expand their footprint in Wendell and has signed a lease with the new Commerce Center. They are a manufacturer. They have no intention of building a data center, hosting a data center, anything like that. They are a parts manufacturer. They're kind of like making the wheels for a car. They're not a car factory. That makes sense. Just wanted to clarify that. I do have some questions.
Go ahead.
And Jim, these might be for you. Is there any specific limit on how long a moratorium can be in place? I did a little bit of quick research, but I just want to make sure that I get your take on it.
Not statutorily. It's based on how long you need to study the issue. So to me, 3 to 5 years is pretty unusual. Most issues can be studied in 12 months, and usually what I see is a 12-month moratorium. There are provisions for extension if you get to the end of that process and you're, for whatever reason, not prepared to make a decision, don't have the information you need, or facts have changed about data centers, then there is an allowance in the statute for an extension.
Got you. And then are there any locals, say, that you know of within like 100 miles of here that have put in similar moratoriums but for longer lengths of time?
There's one on the Apex Town Council agenda for tomorrow night. It's a 12-month.
Okay. Sorry, I had questions. That is, and then our expectation for completion of the UDO update is December. How, and there's generally strong confidence in that? Is that?
We're going to work with our consultant to endeavor to meet that deadline that was requested by the board. If it takes longer, then we'll notify the board. At the end of the day, the board will have to review what's provided and make decisions based on y'all's policy.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, I've got one first real quick. For the attorney, since we were talking to him, the language that we have here has come up several times. What we have was drafted by your office according to state law. Isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So we're within, it's worded the way it has to be.
We put the statute here and start drafting the ordinance and check off all the requirements as we go
So
through.
we can't just come in it and mess with it. And
I wouldn't recommend it.
thank you very much. That's what I wanted to know. Okay. Go ahead.
When I was going to say the same thing, I was like, it may sound fairly easy to go, hey, let's give it till the full year. But if staff has asked for this and the attorney has researched it, I don't want to speak for the town of Wendell, but I guess in this one instance, I'll say this. Wendell doesn't like to guess. Wendell likes to move on facts. As a business guy, I occasionally make educated guesses. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not so much. But for your guys' money and for your guys' protection, we listen to staff a lot, and certainly what the attorney says. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else?
A quick one. Jim, can you talk just a little bit more about high level what that process is for extension if we get to December or closer to December and decide that we want one or want to make an extension?
It's basically the same process with a requirement for, let me just read it. No moratorium may be renewed or extended for any additional period unless the local government has taken all reasonable and feasible steps proposed to be taken in the ordinance establishing the moratorium. And you'll recall in the ordinance draft, there are some steps that you intend to take. And unless new facts and conditions warrant an extension. And then that extension process would be another notice and public hearing like you've done tonight.
And one last question that, I won't make it a question, I'll just editorialize so I don't put our good staff on the spot. But I mean, in my experience, indefinite moratoriums, exaggeratedly long moratoriums, pushing those boundaries are the sort of thing that get the legislature to show up and tell us we have to do something that we don't want to do. So I mean, that is maybe the unspoken balance that's in my mind of how do you figure out a place where we've got something really clear that's happening right now, we're rewriting our UDO, that we can tie this to actually make some sort of progress, make some decisions, have still opportunities to make sure that we have all the information, that we're all comfortable at some point in time. I'd love to think that that's December, and if it's not, then that's okay, and that's, I think we've all heard that that's certainly an option, but I don't want to, we're not the only ones approaching this conversation in the state or the country, but I don't want us to be the headline that gets the legislature to decide that they finally want to join this conversation, but in a way that's not productive and collaborative and data informed, like I think we're really trying to do in a lot of others. So I agree, I think, with some of the thoughts earlier that this is not a conversation for individual towns to figure out on our own. I think it's a national conversation that our country has to figure out, but we're sort of the front line, so we'll do our part too, and hopefully we can get some of our state and federal partners to participate collaboratively in the conversation and not force our hands.
Yeah, I agree. You hear about it all over. It's not just Wendell, it's not just Wake County, it's not just North Carolina. It's all over the country, all near all kinds of things. And nobody wants it near them. So I think it's definitely something that a lot of places are facing, and I think it's more than just, I do think a collaborative effort would be best to help solve it, but the reality is we're the solvers here. So we've got to figure out for this place how to best proceed for Wendell. So
Mayor, I'll just say that I think you set the tone initially on this agenda item, and I don't think that we can stress it enough that this is a proactive measure. Mm-hmm. This is not any kind of reaction. We've not received any inquiries. We've not received any applications. We've also heard the attorney say that, there are provisions for extensions. And I can speak for myself. I hope I speak for others, but, I say it pretty often that my goal on this board is to make Wendell better. And so I don't wake up each morning wondering, you know, what kind of crazy business or utility nightmare, whatever you want to say. I don't wake up trying to figure out how we're going to make that happen. So I think the goal is moratorium. We don't understand it completely. I don't think anybody has admitted that they do. And this gives us time to figure it out. And if we go through the steps and we need more time, there is a process for that. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I keep saying it over and over, and I'm beating a dead horse. I sound like my dad. He's telling me, you're beating a dead horse. But I was dismayed at the flurry of upset. I was really proud of the fact that we as a town were being proactive. And I was very dismayed and saddened by that. So, did I hear something down this way?
Yeah, no, I just want to say that I agree with Mrs. Hennett that it would be nice if we had a more robust and proactive federal conversation to develop a nationwide framework, because this is something that people are talking about and dealing with. It's honestly something that folks have been dealing with in some parts of the country much longer than we have, and it's nice in some sense that we have not had to deal with it yet, and we have a little time to really develop a strong framework at the local level. And that's what we're charged to do. We can't wait for the federal government to get its act together. We can't wait for there is a task force that the governor has set up at the state level that is proposing certain regulations, which ultimately will have to go through the state legislature, and I'm not particularly optimistic that that will be a quick process either. But here at the local level, we do have the power to make sure that we can write rules that if we ever have to deal with it here, we are prepared. And I think that's what we have to do. And I know that, you know, personally speaking, I'm going to be very involved in making sure that, you know, what we do put in the UDO is as robust as possible to address all of the various issues that that data centers pose to as a land use and an energy use and a water use, and feeding our staff as much subject matter expertise as I can possibly do. So, yeah.
I feel real quickly the need to mention, Siemens has been mentioned several times, and anytime a business, they're getting ready to do a gigantic expansion here in Wendell. And it's wonderful when businesses in Wendell are expanding, that they're enjoying success and they're able to expand. Siemens is a manufacturer of electronics. They do a lot of things, and parts for data centers is a small part of what they do. So I want to caution everyone to be careful that we're not maybe demonizing a company that's located right here in town. It's wonderful that they're expanding, and they really aren't part of this conversation other than that.
Mayor, if I could, oh, sorry.
Sorry, if I can
Yeah.
just, like, one of the cool things Siemens does out at their plant is for electric buses.
Yeah.
There's an arm that they build that recharges the electric batteries as a bus slows down going into a station. So like in Boston or New York City, they have Wendell-made parts in their electric bus service that helps recharge, so that fewer buses have to be brought on, and it helps protect the environment in that way. So they do a tremendous amount of work, and they had a decision a while back of expanding West Coast or East Coast, and they're expanding East Coast in the United States. And this is just one example. As you said, Mayor, they do a lot more than parts for this industry, and we wanted to make sure that's different.
I think it's just coincidental that that's one of the things that they do, and they happen to have announced that they're having an expansion at this time. And I think that's created part of the, well, I'm choosing my words real carefully, but part of the concern that we were experiencing here. So,
I do want to just I was going to save this for my closing comments, but because it's pretty on topic for this, these past 2 weeks or 3 weeks since we announced that this was going to be on the agenda, was kind of ironic because of how much concern there was about data centers, which is, rightfully so. And yet the information and misinformation spread so quickly about what this was and what the town was doing, and assumptions were made. And it's a little disheartening to see. There's a lot that can be cleared up with a quick conversation and understanding a little bit more about what the intentions are. I feel bad for businesses in town that, like Siemens, right? They're bringing jobs to Wendell. They're eating at your restaurants. They're shopping at your stores. They are bringing dollars to Wendell. And they're literally just a manufacturing company. Not literally just. I mean, they do some great stuff. But I feel like we kind of villainized each other in this moment, and it's not fair, and it's not Wendell. And I would just really appreciate if everyone kind of had conversations with each other rather than assuming. I think everybody, I don't want to speak for anybody on this board, but I know that everybody has open doors and open inboxes and would welcome a conversation rather than having to defend something in Facebook comments. So
I'll take it one step further. Normally, I get just lots of calls and emails and things like that, and it's perfectly fine. That's part of my job. I got one email about this, and I answered it, and the lady was very nice, and she said, "Oh, okay, thank you." That cleared a lot up. I think that in this instance, for some reason, it was more fun for everybody to get out their pitchforks and get all excited on Facebook. And I would urge you all to maybe ask questions and go to people and ask questions and be critical thinkers and think about what you're reading and think about what exactly is happening. And I'll say again, I was very dismayed and disappointed that we were not excited. I wanted everyone to be happy that we were taking a proactive step, and I was just really surprised that it happened that way, that everyone was so upset about something that the boogeyman. So, all right, if there's anything else from the board, all right, I'm going to close the public hearing. And
I mean, if there's nothing else, I'm happy to make a motion.
yeah,
Make a motion to adopt the attached moratorium ordinance regulation on data centers, data processing facilities, and cryptocurrency mining.
okay, thank you. We have a motion to adopt the moratorium ordinance regulation on data centers, data processing facilities, and cryptocurrency mining. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, then. Item 5B is a public hearing to annex and rezone approximately 2.82 acres from Wake County Residential 30 to Town of Wendell Neighborhood Center Conditional District to construct a child daycare. Ms. Griffin.
Good evening. Again, as you stated, we are asking for annexation and rezoning of this parcel along Eagle Rock Road, for a child daycare center. We have had the plans in. I think you'll see them in a slide that's coming up. But it's a little over 2 acres, almost 3 acres, 729 Eagle Rock Road. We are asking for a change in zoning from Wake County Residential 30 to Neighborhood Center Conditional District. The building itself is a little over 12,600 square feet, and they do have a 7,000 square foot playground as well. It will connect to Eagle Rock in the front and Old Battle Bridge in the rear. And there's your site plan. This has been through our technical review committee, and they've made changes, and we are at the point where this is approvable should you so desire. Parking and stormwater control measure out front and parking along the access road through there. You see the playground towards the back right of your screen. In this area, one of the conditions that they're asking for is a reduction in the buffer width. So typically what we would see there is a 20-foot type B buffer because it is a more intense use than the residential that abuts it. They are asking to plant the same number of plants that would be required in that type B buffer, but shrink it down to 10 feet wide. And that's like our type C buffer. The type C buffer also allows you to reduce 25% with an opaque fence. So what they're really asking for is a 7.5-foot wide buffer, but with the number of plantings that are required in the type B buffer. So same intensity of plantings, just a thinner planting space. There you see the surrounding neighborhoods, Peyton Place, Leo at Eagle Rock, and then parcels that are zoned Wake County Residential 30 as well. The applicant is meeting all the required setbacks in the neighborhood center district other than the maximum setback of 10 feet, and the topography there just doesn't allow for that maximum setback to be met in that location. So they are asking for relief from that maximum setback in condition 1. The minimum setbacks are 0 from the front in neighborhood center. Again, they've proposed a couple of zoning conditions to exceed the maximum setback and that buffer reduction. They will need to obtain stormwater control permits from Wake County, and they have shown the one stormwater measure up front. And again, back to the buffer, it would be 7.5 feet wide, but with the type B plantings, if y'all approve this. No open space required because it's a commercial development, so we don't require open space. There's also, in addition to the topography challenge on that site, there is a jurisdictional stream with a riparian buffer on the north side of the site that also poses some challenges. This did not trigger a TIA requirement, and the UDO itself, though, requires a right-of-way dedication with additional asphalt, sidewalk, and street trees because of the change of use from residential to commercial. And all of those are shown both on the Eagle Rock and Old Battle Bridge frontages. The comp plan calls this a medium residential living 2, so it does not meet the description of the MRL2 place type because it doesn't allow for commercial development in the MRL2. If the conditional district rezoning is approved, it would be recoded to Activity Center 1, which is intended for a mix of retail, restaurant, service, office, and civic uses in addition to residential. The parcel is adjacent to other parcels designated as Activity Center. While the plan is not consistent with Blueprint Wendell 2030, it could be considered reasonable as it assists with plan goals, Centers of Activity CA1 to support development of key nodes, large and small, economic development E3.7 to reduce retail leakage and increase spending on businesses here. As you know, daycares are in high demand as the town continues to grow, and this site will help local families who might have to go to adjacent towns for daycare. The applicant did hold an in-person neighborhood meeting back in August with one neighbor in attendance. You have the meeting minutes in your packet. And again, they've gone through the required steps for the technical review committee, and for staff recommendation, even though the plan is inconsistent with the comp plan, it could be considered reasonable since it fulfills the goals that I just mentioned, and therefore staff recommends approval. And this was heard before the planning board in March, and the board voted unanimously 5-0 at that night to recommend approval of this rezoning. I'm happy to take any questions. The applicant is also here.
Okay, thank you. We'll open the public hearing. Is anything from the board so far? Yeah.
I have two quick ones. Stacy, on the easement on the eastern, it's a little confusing to talk about the sides, but I guess the
right
small
side.
one that you were talking about there on the right. Am I correct that really, despite the fact that I appreciate there's a smaller buffer there being proposed, that between that property line and the residential parcels that have houses on them, it's kind of shown with some dotted
Yeah, it's
lines
kind
here,
of-
but there's like a stormwater or trail or something that is really gonna be sort of an extra existing buffer between existing residential
That's
privately
correct.
owned parcels and this parcel?
That is correct, and that is on the adjacent parcel. It's quite a ways away from the property line of the daycare parcel to the back of the homes there, because there is that space for the easement as well as the rear setbacks of the homes that are adjacent to it.
Thank you. And then the property, I guess, that's sort of to the northwest of this one, that Medlin property. Can you remind me what is the, did we approve something on that in the past? Like some townhouses or something? And my real question is, what's the real question that is in my mind is sort of the thing I love the most about this is it gives us this access to this tiny little triangle where this future main collector road was going to maybe have a gap if this just stayed like it always had been. So I think that's awesome. But I'm thinking about understanding there's some environmental factors that'll have to be overcome eventually. Do you have anything you can share about the build-out or development timeline that we've heard from that adjacent parcel to be able to continue that extension?
We have plans in review, but I don't think we have had an updated timeline for Old Tarboro.
I don't have a timeline, but we've worked with DEQ and Army Corps of Engineers for that crossing for the road in Old Tarboro. So we've assisted the developer in communication with Army Corps of Engineers, let them know the importance of that, and so they're working through their environmental permits.
But that plan is still moving forward, and in theory, that little thing you can see at the top
Yes.
will connect over to Eagle Rock Road and be
Correct.
a big collector, which I guess it's now Old Battle Bridge, since we
Yes.
renamed it. Okay.
Yep.
That's all.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Following up on that question, so there's no way, I guess, given the riparian situation, the topography, there's no way to give the setback without losing something, correct? Like, you can't move this around a little bit. We'd have to shrink the playground. Is the only way to get them the full setback, is that
I'll
correct?
actually it has the full setback, it's exceeding the
maximum,
maximum
okay.
setback. So they would have to pull it up towards the road, and
Okay.
there's quite a dip
Okay.
there. But I will let him talk a little bit about the playground, because I know it's in excess of what's required by the state as well. But, yeah, they would actually have to meet that requirement, they would have to move the building and the parking forwards, and it's got quite a grade change right there at the road.
But again, to Commissioner Eamon's point, there's plenty of room because we have at least, what, a 30-foot greenway path or something there. So we're not, my point of this is, I always like to be careful that I'm not, anytime I look at usage and I abut something and we have that intense use and a less intense use, I always like to make sure that we're not taking care of one person at the expense of the neighbor. So if there's that freedom of space that we have, ma'am? Correct. Yes, ma'am. I agree with the mayor on that. But if we have that sort of, I hate to say free space, but that available space that's there, and we're not in somebody's backyard, I feel much more comfortable in doing so.
Yeah, that property where the easement is not part of a developable lot. So the longer dashed lines next to the little path, that's where the rear lot lines start for those houses in the D.R. Horton development.
Okay. Out of curiosity, why do they have a larger playground? Is that an applicant question?
It is,
We'll get
and
to them.
it's a requirement of the specific daycare.
Okay.
But I'll let them talk about that.
Anything else from the board right now for staff? Okay, let's hear from the applicant.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, town leaders, and staff. We didn't have a formal presentation, but if if you're so gracious, I'd like just to go over a few things and may answer some questions to start out with. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight about this project. I'm speaking on behalf of my client, the developer Harrison Peoples, who is here tonight, and you'll hear from him also. We are pleased to be here. It's been a while getting here, and just want to share with you some of the interesting aspects of the project and where we are now. Of course, you've heard this project consists of developing the parcel for a daycare facility, childhood development facility called Lightbridge Academy. And I'll add something to that. Not only did we go through the town's TRC, we went through Lightbridge's TRC as well. Hence the large playground, the mini ball-yards, and the huge sidewalk and space in front of the building facing the riparian buffer area. It is my understanding that our local community has a huge demand for this service, and the project is welcomed by many. This small project, with respect to the surrounding developments, which have been brought up tonight, but this small project will require numerous permits, local, county, state, and federal. It has also had many technical and collaborative challenges. Technically, the design has been challenging given the many physical regulatory constraints. Physical constraints includes extensive collaboration with other consultants to marry Eagle Rock Road widening as well as the Old Battle Bridge Road extension. So I can answer some more questions about that as well. In collaboration with others has led to many delays, to the frustration of many, and that likely includes town staff. Other constraints, including regulatory stream and buffer, existing topography, and subsurface rock. With that, we are pleased to present this project that has been designed to meet these constraints, and we're humbly confident that our design and analysis will meet and, in some cases, exceed regulatory requirements. We also are assured that this project will be a great addition to the community, and it will be a beautiful building on top of the hill, which I've been talking about, the topography. It's going to be on top of the hill, prominent and beautiful, full of children learning and playing. Delays are common with development, and we have worked very hard to make up some time. The developer has been a pleasure to work with in managing some of the challenges, and the franchisee is eager to see the work completed. The franchisee is here tonight also. Harrison?
Good evening, Mayor Gray and Commissioners. I'm Harrison Peebles, the developer of Lightbridge Academy. As been discussed prior, this building is going to be amazing, and we're excited to bring it to Wendell. Our franchisee, Brian Catchell, is to my right, and he's beyond excited to bring it here. If you want to take a look at what Lightbridge Academy entails, they have one in Wake Forest located at 1016 Holding Village Way. I'd encourage you to go take a look at it, so you'll see what's going to be built. But that said, it's been thoughtfully designed, intended to serve, obviously, the needs of the community and its children. And they intend to be here for a while, adding to its tax base. And so we appreciate your consideration, and I'd like to introduce Brian to the staff here.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us. My name is Brian Cachel, owner of Wake Forest Lightbridge Academy. I'm not prepared. This is my first time attending one of these, so I wanted to get on because I believe my wife is watching from home, so hi, Shelby. Yeah, and look forward to being the next owner or the future owner of the Lightbridge Academy here, so we can cut back on that one-year wait list for daycare in the area, and we're excited to be part of the community. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the board for the applicant?
Yeah, I do. As a mother of three, I'm very well familiar with the need for daycare facilities here in Wendell. I'm not very familiar with the Lightbridge Academy, but could you give me a little bit around how will this serve our community? So is this, do you offer tuition assistance? Is this something that the community of Wendell can actually?
Yeah, we do, and the state does. We accept the state. I forget what the fancy word is, but we're from 12 weeks up to pre-K. So it's a pretty large class. We could accommodate about 190 kids. We'll have employment for about 60 people. And yeah, I usually let my wife answer these tough questions.
It's not that tough. And so that was my other question. 190 you said in this space?
The state regulations change pretty frequently, so we'll be somewhere between 185 and 190 based on this footprint, and that is the reason for the larger playground. We meet state requirements, but then for certain accreditation, 5 stars, et cetera, and Lightbridge's standard of care, we make them bigger, just more space.
Gotcha.
Anything else from the board? Anyone? Anything else for town staff? All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak for or against this project? And nothing else from the board? Okay, go ahead.
Road connectivity still sort of in my mind. Can you talk a little bit about how we ensure, and sort of the phasing of the other connections that I was kind of alluding to a minute ago? Are there, first of all, the sort of the main corridor that cuts through this parcel, that's a private street, not a publicly dedicated road, correct? Okay. What, and maybe this is an applicant question, but like what, from a town perspective, will be in place to keep that from becoming sort of the new cut through of I take old Battle Bridge through the light, starting up at Wendell Boulevard, and instead of turning left on Cotton Gin and coming around to Eagle Rock, I just keep going straight till I get to this and turn left and cut through the daycare, and then I'm right on Eagle Rock.
John, I know you addressed this at Planning Board. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Very good question. One of the things that we considered was just a full access entrance on Eagle Rock, and we looked at traffic counts, and we were very concerned, so we're proposing a right in, right out only. It's less than a mile, well, about 1.5 miles, maybe 1.8 to Battle Bridge intersection of Eagle Rock. We also consider the right in, right out for the reasons you say. It'd be less, maybe it'd be a deterrent for those to want to cut through. There are other things that we can do, but we feel like that driveway will not be conducive to a cut through. But then again, you're going to have somebody. So we're hoping it's a nice cut through and convenience for the parents that are dropping their kids off. And we don't want somebody running late trying to turn left against traffic coming to Eagle Rock at rush hour.
Well, I think sort of then this is maybe a statement for both staff and also for all of y'all with the project. I mean, I think in the ideal world, by the time this construction's happening, the neighboring construction's happening, and Eagle Rock Road, Old Battle Bridge just connects straight on through to Eagle Rock, and everything's beautiful. And this is, I like connectivity. I mean, this is good in-between connectivity. It's infill. It's all the things we were looking for. In the event that staging doesn't happen exactly like we want it to, and we know that sometimes the staging of multiple projects as it relates to transportation doesn't line up exactly like we want it to. I do think it would be probably to the benefit of the whole town for, if this thing's moving and the other thing hadn't broken ground yet and the final asphalt's getting poured on this thing, maybe worth thinking about, like, is there a speed bump that goes in that makes it, like, what are the extra things that make it less appealing to be a cut through in that short term, because it's not going to be the final alignment and all these other things. But I want to make sure that we don't end up in a position where the chief's got to send somebody out there all the time to watch when schools, it's not like it's one time or 2 times during the day. There's people coming and going, I'm sure, throughout the day. We can't just have a police officer sitting there all day blocking traffic. So everybody coordinating on that, I think, will be helpful. I don't think it's a reason not to move forward, but I do think it's a thing to be really conscious of in that potential pinch time as all the pieces are kind of falling in line together.
Very good. May I speak to the collaboration? very close collaboration and wonderful for the Old Battle Bridge extension. I'm very familiar with their permitting process, where they are in the process, and we're actually, their developer understands that they probably need something from us, and my client understands we might need something from them. So that collaboration process is going. It could be neck and neck. We not really sure. There's a lot of regulatory permitting here that we have no control over the timelines. And my understanding that they have submitted full, and they have asked for information from us to go into their PCN application to DWQ and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Our environmental permitting is just for, the 401, 404 permitting is just for our widening. And I don't think we're using the same consultant, but our consultant who's doing that permitting is fully aware of where they are with their permitting as well. So the widening of Eagle Rock collaboration hasn't been as easy and nice, but we did have good collaboration with them. And so, and one thing I also found out is that the Corps does not like to hear because the town says you got to widen. So anyway, that's where we are. It's kind of a race right now. Boom, boom, boom. And we have construction drawings completed to where we are not impacting any buffers or anything on the road extension in preparation for them coming along, or if they come along. So our construction drawings are marrying really well up there. And I'm actually tying in a catch basin from a stormwater control measure to their system that they're using to cross over. And that's another thing I want to add. We're completely done, well, not completely done, but we're 95% with construction drawings to the point of submitting for all of our permits. As soon as this is done, we plan to immediately submit for construction drawing review. So we are ready, and we're trying to make up some time, and would like to, move forward with a phased construction approach that we'd love to speak with staff about. That's really not important in this meeting. Any other questions?
Anything else from the board?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll close the public hearing.
Madam Mayor, if there are no additional comments, I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
Make a motion to approve annexation and rezoning of approximately 2.82 acres from Wake County Residential 30 to Town of Wendell Neighborhood Center Conditional District to construct a child daycare and adopt the attached ordinance.
We have a motion to approve and rezone, approve the annexation and rezoning of approximately 2.82 acres from Wake County Residential 30 to Town of Wendell Neighborhood Center conditional for a daycare center. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Item 5C is a public hearing, is request to rezone approximately 4.15 acres from manufacturing industrial to downtown mixed-use conditional to construct 3rd Street Apollo. Mr. Coates.
Yep. Good evening, Mayor and board members. Excited to be before you for this project. We have been working on this for quite a few years with the applicant and excited that we're at this stage. The request is to rezone approximately a little over 4 acres from manufacturing and industrial to downtown mixed-use conditional district to construct 3rd Street Apollo, a mixed-use development for small businesses, entertainment, dining, office, civic space, light manufacturing, and other uses. As mentioned, the parcel is owned by 9 North Hollybrook LLC. The buildings and the site contained previous business uses of Kemp Furniture, Mortex, and a variety of other businesses. Some of the main building was built in 1945. The development is planning to remove roughly 6,000 square feet, create 2 buildings, and have an open plaza between the 2. I'm going to go through things. They do have a presentation, so I might go through some of our slides quickly. Here's the location. You can see Pine Street to the west, Hollybrook to the east, 3rd Street to the south, and then the rail line to the north. their site plan, you can see the two buildings, the middle where it says open plaza, that they would be removing some buildings, creating some parking to the west. And then as part of a town project, we would be upgrading Pine Street's infrastructure and then creating the parking lot in the rail right-of-way. They do have some zoning conditions. We'll go over these a little bit more in detail. They also have a development agreement, so if you approve the rezoning, the next item on the agenda is the developer agreement with the town. And then they're asking for some additional signage percents, as there will be a variety of many small businesses and things in there for the signage. Uses, you can see this was part of the staff report, a variety of uses from retail and community to things like art studios can go in there, professional services, personal services, no drive-through service, no kind of, storage, outdoor storage is not permitted, but then a lot of other uses, restaurants, retail, and other uses that you would see kind of in a mixed-use downtown project. Some renderings, my renderings in the staff report are not as good as theirs. You'll see on their slides, they're all in color. These are just some of the images of the project. The applicant's site does shows a new underground stormwater control measures beneath the proposed parking lot. There are no buffers required for this project. It does require street trees as well as parking lot plantings. There are some flood-prone soils in the area, but there is no floodplains or jurisdictional streams on the property. Transportation, they're actually removing some square footage. This site has always kind of been more of a mixed-use area and never had real parking, at least in the last few decades. So creating their parking lot and then the town creating the parking lot and the rail right-of-way will be public. Our lot will be public. We have that, we'll be going under design soon for that. But those roughly 52 spaces will be public and leased space from the railroad that the town will have for anyone to park in. You can see images from our recently adopted downtown streetscape plan. Their improvements along Hollybrook or along 3rd Street will show that. Our improvements along Pine Street will implement the downtown streetscape project. And then when we look at the comp plan, there is probably not another project that we've had that has been so consistent with the comp plan. When we look at downtown core uses, commercial in buildings, co-working space, civic uses, event space, and all of those types of uses we'll go over. And the 3rd Street Apollo project assists with implementing the small area plan that was done for downtown as part of the Blueprint Wendell 2030. This infill adaptive mixed-use project, partnering with the town, will create a new destination for not only our residents, but also East Wake and the region. When you look at the categories in this plan, strengthen downtown as the heart and central gathering place. This project assists a great deal with that. This takes underutilized space and makes it a hub for the community. Downtown D2, grow downtown as a larger mixed-use center to better position Wendell. This project does that. This project alone creates over 100,000 square feet of different space for restaurants and shops and retail and office. We hear continuously, hey, what downtown needs to be the center of a focus. This project does that. This re-energizes a part of downtown and our whole downtown. Downtown D2-3, participate in efforts to redevelop sites and reuse existing buildings. This project is doing that. They're partnering with the town through a developer's agreement to help with improvements to implement the new downtown streetscape. Consistent supports a key node. Downtown is our node, just like other parts of town, but downtown is a major key node for things. Centers of activity, we should amend our zoning to accommodate mixed-use development in key nodes. We're doing that. Historic preservation, appreciate the history. This building is being saved, reworked, and they'll go over a little reason of why the name for the project exist. Economic development, reduce retail leakage and increase spending. We hear nonstop, we want more restaurants. We're tired of going to Raleigh. This project does that. Neighborhood meeting they had back in October. Technical review committee has reviewed all the plans. Staff is recommending approval. It is probably the most consistent plan that we've had related to the comp plan. I can field any questions. The applicant does have a PowerPoint, which has a lot better images than my presentation.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Anything from the board? All right, let's hear from the applicant.
You're welcome.
I feel like you need a walk-up song for this project.
Yeah. Got a recommendation on which one?
Talk about that later.
Something from Rocky, right?
That's what came to mind, Brian. Justin Bieber. Thank you. It's a real honor to be here in front of you. It's Cal Cunningham, Fayetteville Street, Raleigh. I'm here representing the applicant, Hollybrook Partners. We have some of the members of that organization here, Tyler Morris, Jeff Nicholson, and relatively new Wendell resident, Jason Stegall. We're excited to bring this adaptive reuse project to you where the past, Wendell's past, can meet its future with local dining, with creative workspace, outdoor engaged areas. To know Wendell is to know this site. We know it. Perry's and Bearded Bee is to the west side of this, cell tower sites to the north. We've got the police department just on the south side of us, and we've got Grill Billy's across the railroad tracks to the north as well. This site is deeply rooted in the story of Wendell, but this is where we would like to take it. If you are standing on the 3rd Street side looking north, when we take the 6,000 square feet out of the center and open it up into this plaza where folks can engage, meet, mingle, we can have events. We'll have 28,000 square feet on the left side of this picture, 80,000 square feet on the right side of this picture. You see we are redeveloping the streetscape. That's on the developer's dime on the 3rd Street side. If you are on the north side, standing at the railroad tracks, looking back down to the south, you're going to see where it says Boiler Room there, Surf and Turf, the market. That's where we hope to open a restaurant, sit-down restaurant next spring, this time next year. And the parking lot that you're seeing here is actually in the railroad right-of-way. I can only begin to commend staff for how closely they have worked with us, finding the right people with the railroad, finding the ways in which we needed to. We're going to run stormwater through there, making sure that we can accommodate an easement, the public-private partnership, what you see on the right side, the parking lot on the right side has 63 spaces in it. We are investing a significant amount in stormwater infrastructure down through there. And then further to the right will be the streetscape along Pine Street. On the far side is the other main building. And this 3rd Street on the southwest corner, looking back up, trying to create engaging public spaces where we can invite folks to come in, the public, make it a destination, and of course, attract jobs, attract opportunity into this site. This is a little bit of a marketing piece of literature. It's 108,000 total square feet under roof, 116,000 because we have some basement areas and some second floors. We intend to do this 28,000 square foot part on the west side first and have found already some keen interest in bringing new opportunities into that space. A little bit about the history. I thought it would be really colorful to talk about this. The left side, the west side of this site was the old Monk Henderson Tobacco Company. On the east side of it, Kemp Furniture. In 1980, those were brought together under the roof that we're actually going to take out. And there has been so much employment here. In 1969, we're going to tie this together with Apollo. in just a second, and I know it probably is feeling like a stretch right now. Winco is the one who brought this together in 1980. In the 2000s, though, worth remembering, 3rd Street Print Screen was one of the largest, if not the largest, clothing printing operation in the Mid-Atlantic. There's a lot of history here. There's a lot in which folks relate to this site. But in 1969, after the Apollo mission, the Monk Henderson Tobacco Company sent out photos of the landing to customers as customer appreciation gift. Well, we found those in the attic of the grandfather of one of the developers and thought, if this doesn't capture the specialness of a moment, a way to envision possibility, it's hard not to think about what we just watched Artemis II do, the way that that brought us together, the way it helped us picture things beyond the past and into the future. We thought 3rd Street Apollo is the way to capture the past and honor and think about the future. You've seen the site plan. Again, there's a lot of public-private partnership here. We can talk about that now or in the context of the developer agreement. We have a myriad of uses. The downtown mixed use underlying zoning is the right way to create this rather than industrial M&I. No proposals for crypto mining, no proposals for, no, it was never in anybody's thought to do any data center there. We will honor exactly what this town is expressing there. But we did want to create a flexible template that includes office, service, retail, restaurant, entertainment, recreation, manufacturing, wholesale, storage, civic, and institutional, to make sure that we can create the most engaged site. We hope that you will find this is both consistent and reasonable when we look to Blueprint 2030, where it specifically says, an example is the 3rd Street Large Industrial Area, re-envisioned with a flexible space anchor tenant modeled after the loading dock in Raleigh. Well, so one of our team members is a guy named John Hines with Plus Architecture. Well, John Hines designed the Hall River Ballroom in Saxby Hall, loading dock in Wake Forest, and of course, Dock 1053 in Raleigh. So we heard this town, and we tried to bring you what you said you wanted to do in the development. There are many other, as Brian touched on, many other provisions in 2030 that make this consistent and, of course, reasonable. Happy to address any questions about the zoning portion of this. I think the next item on your agenda is the developer agreement. I'm happy to touch on that with more specificity at this point, but I defer, Madam Mayor, to you and the commissioners.
All right, any questions from the board?
Yeah, is there a time, I mean, you've titillated our imagination with the surf and turf. Is there any sort of timeline on vendor announcements?
I'll meet you there this time next year. We would very much, and we'll touch on this in the developer agreement, but part of this requires synchronization of a town-developed parking lot, town doing Pine Street streetscape, though that isn't a critical path element. We intend to be able to bring forward construction drawings sooner rather than later, and our marketing team does have very live prospects that are prepared to go into that site, including a surf and turf sit-down dinner place. So we hope that in April of 2027, we have a special board meeting there.
I have a couple other questions, but we're going to separately do the development agreement, so I think I can save them till then.
That's fair.
I promise the town ain't gonna hold anything up.
We will.
Anything else from the board? I mean, our part, streetscaping and things like that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Anything else? All right, well, thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak in favor or in opposition of the project? Yes, sir.
First thing, I'm Barry Perry, 428 Vintage Point Lane. I'm also the owner of Perry's Gun Shop at 21 East 3rd Street. I don't even know where to start. I know many years ago I sat in your seats And couldn't help but think with all the conversation tonight that so many years ago, Wendell was in a position to take pretty much any bone somebody would throw us. But we're in such a different position right now that we can get what we want. And whether it's businesses that may not taste right, smell right, look right, and we understand, we don't have to take those anymore because we're very fortunate to have projects like this that are coming to Wendell that I could not be more excited about. I've been talking to these guys for quite some time. I've never talked with a group that was any more excited to hear our ideas, what we think we need. You mentioned restaurants, shops, such things as that. I've been through the building several times, and every time I leave, I grab someone on the street and I say, come on, you've got to go with me. If you haven't been through it, it's exciting, but you have to do that. But as I said, from that 10,000 square foot view, I could not be happier as a contiguous property owner. By the way, we were there long before 1945, even though I don't look that old. I'll have to tell the tenants here, I've only been here 65 years, but I've been here. I do that. I think she held me as a child. But to see the changes that Wendell's going through, I remember Winco, I remember Monk Henderson Tobacco Company, and of course, our building being an old tobacco warehouse. What they're doing there is fabulous. I've also had the privilege to go through some other properties that they have done in the Raleigh area and such things as that. I sit there and I've been asked before, why are you so quiet? I said, I feel like I want to cry because I can't believe this is coming to my town. This is my town. I've lived here my entire life and I'm not going anywhere. But I just wanted to make that, I hope the town board does anything this crowd asks them to do. I hope they're expeditious in their decisions. And they're saying April of next year. I'd like to challenge you, let's do that in March. Okay, we need to do that in March. But I'm very much looking forward to it, and thank you so much for your cooperation in working with them. And yes, we'll get the railroad property figured out one of these days. But in any case, looking forward to it, and thank y'all all for the job that you do and your patience with all of us coming in here and keeping you up all night. Thanks again.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, anything else from the board? Close the public hearing. What's y'all's pleasure?
Madam Mayor, I'm going to be excited about this motion. I do want to make a comment. I think it goes without saying that Ed Morrell is not here tonight. He has obviously a lot of history in that building and has been very, very proud of what's taking place. And I'd love to hear the fact that there are tours being given, because I can tell you, you haven't been welcomed to Wendell unless you've been on a tour of that building at some point. So really meaningful, really happy that, you know, the pride and the, you know, really just the compassion for our town just says a lot. So with that, I'll make a motion, Mayor, to approve rezoning of approximately 4.15 acres from manufacturing and industrial to downtown mixed-use conditional district to construct 3rd Street Apollo and adopt the attached ordinance.
And annex and rezone. But he was reading the thing, I just didn't know. That's what it says on the thing. Oh, you're right. Thank you. No, I'm just making sure I'm following you. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the request to rezone 4.51 acres from manufacturing industrial to downtown mixed use to construct the 3rd Street Apollo. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Promise I'll get in the right order now. Item 5D is a public hearing on a development agreement between Hollybrook Partners LLC and the town of Wendell for a 3rd Street Apollo mixed-use development. Mr.
Good evening,
Coates.
Mayor and board members. Anytime the town does a developer's agreement, we have to do a public hearing, which is required by state statute. The agreement between Hollybrook Partners LLC and the town of Wendell for this 3rd Street Apollo project does lay out the improvements that each partner will do. Our improvements from the town include the Pine Street streetscape improvements, where they will be doing the Hollybrook, or the 3rd Street. And then we're also responsible, but we have some flexibility in that parking lot in the rail right-of-way. I can let the applicant speak, and we can field, either one of us can field the questions that you may have in this developer's agreement.
Okay, let's open the public hearing. Any questions from the board? All right. Any questions for the applicant from the board? The applicant would like to be heard. Would you like to say anything?
I think everything's been said, just
Okay.
not everybody's said it yet. I'm happy to address the provisions in the developer agreement. It truly represents a public-private partnership, and I don't know how you follow those pictures by talking about a contract, but there are some important pieces of it, including in there the park and ride improvements on the other side of the railroad tracks, the parking lot that the town will lease and construct the improvements on, the streetscape allocation and timing between Pine Street, the town's work there, our work on 3rd Street. The town has agreed to support our effort with the United Arts Council for grant applications. Important because in one of the provisions you saw related to signs, we're going to test the boundaries between signage and public art as a way to engage the open space. There are set out provisions related to existing town policies on economic development property tax grant, which helps the developer team, the owner, defer a little bit of property tax over a 4-year period. There are tenant improvement grants that we wanted to make sure that tenants could orient to. Again, it's existing programs that the town has available that we put all in one place as a consolidated concept. Happy to address any specific questions about the agreement, but particularly want to emphasize that the only way this has been possible is in partnership with this amazing town staff, so thank you.
All right, any questions from the board?
Yeah, Madam Mayor. So the parking lot that's going to replace the current natural area and the stormwater improvements underneath, is that going to absorb as much stormwater as the current natural area does?
If I understand the question correctly, we intend to put in a stormwater control measure that fully accounts for all of the stormwater. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, all right.
Cool. Brief.
From the top rope.
All right.
Tyler Morris, yes.
And then there's a reference to the 3rd Street streetscape work that you all will be doing regarding slight change to bike lanes to not disturb existing curb and gutter. Could you just specify that exactly?
There is a very small, and we're talking inches to a foot difference between the existing right-of-way and where the existing curb and gutter is. We asked not to have to jackhammer out the existing curb and gutter, but otherwise the streetscape meets exactly the town streetscape program.
Well, that's all the questions I have, but I'm, as a resident of 3rd Street, really looking forward to getting some surf and turf and all kinds of other stuff.
Anything else from the board? Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak about this project? In favor or opposition of the project? All right, anything else from the board?
If I can make one comment on the
Sure.
town's components is, we have factored in these capital projects into the recommended budget that you'll see from the manager in the coming month. So there's nothing that we weren't planning or prepared to do in the coming fiscal year and to coordinate with this development. We've been planning this for a couple years.
Anything else? All right, we'll close the public hearing. We have a motion. I'm off autopilot now. I'm gonna read the right one this time.
We'll make it a little easier this time, hopefully.
No?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the attached development agreement between Hollybrook Partners LLC and the town of Wendell for the 3rd Street Apollo project.
All right, Thank you. We have a motion to approve the development agreement between Hollybrook Partners LLC and the town of Wendell for the 3rd Street Apollo mixed-use development. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Well, this is very exciting. Thank you all for your investment in Wendell. We really appreciate it. It's going to be great. All right, item 5E is a public hearing to annex and rezone approximately 35.44 acres located at 2621 North Carolina Highway 97 from Wake County Residential 40 to Town of Wendell Neighborhood Center. Mr. McCarthy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kevin McCarthy. I joined the planning staff in October, and tonight I'm presenting this request from Wake County School System for annexation and rezoning of approximately 35.4 acres near the intersection of Marshburn Road and Highway 97. And this request differs from the other rezonings on tonight's agenda in that it's a straight zoning map amendment. So that means there's no special conditions proposed and there's no controlling master plan. Effectively, the applicant is asking you to change the color of the zoning map and identify which set of standards in the UDO will apply to subsequent development reviews. The applicant requests to come into the corporate limits with the Town of Wendell zoning of Neighborhood Center, or NC. It's currently under Wake County zoning. And although there's no master plan associated with this request, we know that the applicant intends to construct a school on the site with capacity for 800 students. And you can see they're zoned R40 under Wake County zoning. The surrounding abutting properties are also under Wake County zoning. So right at the corner is an existing auto-related business. There's 3 additional properties with frontage along Marshburn Road, and those have rear property lines that abut the subject site. Those are all single-family homes. The properties south of the site abutting the property are also single-family homes, and there's a wooded undeveloped parcel to the west. There are properties in the town limits. Southeast, sort of across the street to the southeast, is the Marshburn Manor development site, and the Ponder development site kind of wraps around that a little further to the south and to the east. Wake County School Systems has engaged a consultant to perform a traffic impact analysis, and that study is underway. One important thing to keep in mind is that in North Carolina, municipalities are limited in the off-site improvements they can require of a new public school, and the cost of those improvements are borne by the municipality. And like I said, there's no master plan associated with the request in front of you, but preliminary plans show vehicular access to this property off of Marshburn Road with secondary emergency access to Highway 97. Blueprint Wendell classifies this property as Activity Center 2, and that place type encourages a blending of uses and structure types, and the neighborhood center zoning is an appropriate implementing zone for that place type. And you can see on the future land use map, the subject site and the adjacent properties are shown in orange as Activity Center 2. Blueprint Wendell also identifies the subject site as part of a special focus area around that intersection of Highway 97 and Marshburn Road, and that plan describes a blend of uses, including institutional and civic uses that serve area residents, things like schools. And just to reiterate, this is a traditional zoning map amendment, so no conditions are proposed. There's no master plan in front of you. The applicant does seem to be very committed to moving forward with developing this site as a school, but if for some reason that didn't work out, a future owner of the property could establish any use that's permitted in the NC district, provided they conform to the standards of the UDO. And every zoning map amendment should be accompanied by a statement explaining how the change is consistent with the comprehensive plan and reasonable in nature. And the requested zoning map amendment is consistent with Activity Center 2 place type of Blueprint Wendell. So like I said, that NC district is an appropriate implementing zone for that future land use place type. And it is consistent with the focus area plan that calls for civic uses accessible to area residents. And the request could be considered reasonable as that it assists with the implementation of the goals of Blueprint Wendell, specifically goals 1, 3, and 5, and partially fulfills those connected implementing actions, specifically support development of key nodes, create space to meet varied demands, focus on job creation, and strengthen partnerships with institutions and neighboring jurisdictions. The applicant did hold a neighborhood meeting in December. There were 8 people in attendance, and those folks had questions about traffic improvements and this process of annexation and rezoning. And the planning board did recommend approval at their meeting in March. And the applicant is here with a detailed presentation about their plans for the site, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have before I hand off the podium.
Okay, thank you. Let's open the public hearing. Any questions from the board so far? All right, let's hear from the applicant.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is David Bergmark. I'm an entitlement practice lead with McAdams out of the Raleigh office at 620 Hillsborough Street. I have with me tonight a few members of Wake County Public Schools as well, Alice Reese, Elizabeth Sharp, and Dave Burnett, in case there's any questions that they might be better able to address than myself. I promise this isn't too detailed. I'll try to keep this relatively brief. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you about this rezoning and annexation request. Super excited about, this is not as flashy or as exciting as the previous application, but I am very excited to see that come before you. I trust you all are in a good mood, and I will not spoil it.
We feel like you should have a walk-up song.
I appreciate that.
And surf and turf.
Staff's already done a very thorough job, I think, of setting the stage for where this site is located, the adjoining rezoning districts around us. As stated, this is both annexation and rezoning request. We do have some non-residential adjoining districts within the county in terms of general business and highway commercial districts to the north. As mentioned by staff, this site is located within the Activity Center 2 designation within your comprehensive plan, which envisions a mix of uses, including civic and commercial and office. So we feel like this was an appropriate fit based on that land use designation with your within your comprehensive plan. And it kind of permits the envisioned mix of uses with the NC district, including elementary and secondary schools. And then some of those adjacent designations within your comp plan include industrial and manufacturing to the east and innovation district to the west and south. The neighborhood center, I'll mention under the prior code, was actually referred to as the office and institutional district actually became the neighborhood center with the adoption of the UDO. And within your permitted use table, it falls within the civic and institutional use category. So in terms of why we chose this designation, first and foremost, schools are permitted within that district, as is the case in many of your districts. We believe it has a strong alignment with your future land use plan, your comprehensive plan. Feel as though the NC district will serve as an appropriate transition between those other commercial uses in the Wake County property to our north, and then transitioning to residential districts further south of the proposed school site. We did, of course, meet with staff, discuss this when it first came up. There was some discussion about would there be any advantage to proposing what might be viewed as a quote less intense district, like residential agricultural districts also allow schools, but at the same time we really wanted to pick the district that actually represented what we are proposing to do, and we felt like the neighborhood center best did so. And then last but not least, this property is already owned by Wake County Public Schools, so this is not a speculative zoning where they're only going to be moving forward if the zoning is approved. They already own this site. They're already working diligently on the school plans. So although with any zoning, as staff mentioned, you need to consider all uses that could be allowed in the district, I think there's very little risk of something other than a school being located on this site. I don't have to tell this group why there's a need for a school. You all have seen the growth, but within Wendell and beyond. This is just a snapshot of your interactive development map that probably is missing some additional ones since this was first created. The Marshburn Road Elementary is shown as number 1 on the top with the extra circle around it. You have the other existing school sites shown, and then in the various colors are just the array of development proposals that are moving through, with the largest and closest being Marshburn Manor and the Ponder PUD. So there's a clear need with all this growth, as more households, more kids, more need for student capacity. And so that's what generated the impetus for this site being selected and purchased and us proceeding forward with rezoning and annexation requests. Again, I know it's just a general use rezoning, but I did want to at least give you a little bit of information about their intent in terms of proposing a traditional elementary school size of about 115,000 square feet that can accommodate approximately 800 students. The primary access is sought to be off of Marshburn Road with emergency access off NC97. Whether or not that is limited to emergency or not is something that would be further refined through NCDOT as it goes through the site plan process. This site is largely, as you see on the aerial, very largely wooded, so a lot of opportunities for retaining existing vegetation for buffers. There are some wetlands on the site, again, providing some extra separation, and the size is sufficient to accommodate the use. We're obviously in the process right now of requesting annexation and rezoning, and then ultimately hoping for a full opening in summer of 2030. This presentation is largely what I shared with the public at the neighborhood meeting, and even though there is no site plan tied to this, there are no conditions tied to this, I still share this just to give you a general sense of intent and to primarily show you that the site is large enough that we can pull that school back, pull it back from adjacent property owners, pull it back from the road so that we have room for all that bus queue length, all the carpool length, to make sure that you can capture all that on site, because I feel like that's a really important element of any school. And so that's the main reason for just sharing this with you, is just to show you this site is big enough to accommodate the need. So again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation tonight. The staff has obviously made a recommendation of approval. The planning board unanimously recommended approval, and so we're here for you before you tonight, requesting your support and your approval. And myself and the team members from Wake County Public Schools are available to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you. Anything from the board? I have one comment. I've just got to emphasize what you just said. Please keep the traffic off the road. That's probably like in the top 3
Yes, ma'am.
complaints that I receive. I'm sure they know too. So we need to keep the cars off the road. All right, nothing from the board?
Actually, I do have a quick question. So rezoning this space to accommodate for the school, is there any potential for, let me phrase it this way, does this limit this parcel to just one school? I ask that because I've seen in, different places, my hometown of Wake Forest, where they've put 2 schools on the same kind of property. So I'm not sure, I think in some cases that's great because there's more seats for kids and whatnot. But I was wondering if there's a lot of open space here, and is that a potential for down the road when inevitably we will continue to be out of, space?
Sure. No, it's a good question. Not one that's been posed to me yet. I can say that there's been no discussion about phase 2 plans by any means. At the same time, since this is just a rezoning, it's not a conditional district. This plan is not tied to it. Essentially, anything that would be permissible under the NC zoning district, if there was a desire in the future and enough space to accommodate it, could they come forward and propose an expansion or additional school site or whatever it may be? The short answer is yes. They'd have to go through all the development approval requirements at that time, but nothing in this approval of the zoning would limit that.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Anything else from the board? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to be heard, either in favor or against the rezone? Okay.
My name is Melissa Wilson, and I live at 1609 Marshburn Road, otherwise known as the property immediately south of the school. So I'm not opposed to the rezoning. I just want to echo what you said, the traffic. We came to a meeting of this board to approve a road improvement plan for the town of Wendell soon after we moved in. But then when we went to the meeting in December, we learned that that doesn't apply to the schools, because then you guys would have to make those improvements. So just concerns as someone living right there with the development across the street, just the traffic and what that's going to look like, since the school doesn't have to make the improvements that were agreed upon by this board that would be made if there was development on that road. So that's all. Something's going to go there. I would rather it be an elementary school than some other establishments that may not be as desirable. So not necessarily against the rezoning, just want to echo the concerns of the neighborhood about the traffic and what that traffic pattern is going to look like for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, anything else from the board?
I have one quick question for Mr. Bergmark, if I could.
Yeah.
Just for comparison's sake, can you compare and contrast, and maybe you need to ask the school system this, but what's the size lot that Wendell Elementary School sits on for how many students? And I ask that from a standpoint of, I'm assuming the lot out here for 35 acres is at least 3 or 4 times that size, more so. So I think to ask, to your point, I see you shaking your head, so to answer the question I'm shooting for is, we have challenges with that. I love having a school downtown, and staff did a phenomenal job moving the pickup line and the queue so it doesn't impact Wendell Falls Parkway, Wendell Boulevard as much as it did in the past. However, this one is 3 or 4, if maybe 5 times the size of it. So I think that, to your point, is I think one of the things I really liked about this, I know it's conceptual drawing, but I think Mr. Bergmark, who we've dealt with many times and is a former director here himself, understands that we don't want to see cars on the road, be it Chick-fil-A or be it a school. So thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we'll close the public hearing.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve annexation and rezoning of 35.44 acres located at 2621 North Carolina Highway 97 from Wake County R40 to Town of Wendell, NC.
All right, thank you. We have a motion to annex and rezone approximately 35.44 acres located at 2621 North Carolina Highway 97 from Wake County Residential 40 to Town of Wendell Neighborhood Center. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. We'll move into our administrative items. Item 6A is a resolution of intent to formally close the right-of-way known as South Pine Street located between East Haywood and Folk Street. Mr. Coates.
Yep, good evening, Mayor and board members. This is the first step in any time we have closed a right-of-way or alley. This procedure is to adopt, the first step is to adopt a resolution of intent, and then we will go through our notification process, which includes 4 weeks of publication and also signs. And so the resident, Caleb Sanderson of 114 East Haywood Street, requested the portion of South Pine Street right-of-way be closed. The street was never constructed. It is just includes drainage that flows through that area of town, and there was never a road that was built. The town, in order to close any public right-of-way or alley, the town must first adopt a resolution and then go through the notification process. In this case, if you all choose at a public hearing to move forward with this closing, the property would traditionally revert to the adjoining property owners and become taxable private property. The final decision on the abandonment of any public alleys or roads would occur following that public hearing, which would be May 11th. I can field any questions you have at this time, and then we would come back to you May 11th with a public hearing and feedback from the neighboring properties.
All right, any questions from the board?
I do have a quick question, just for clarification. And we see a shaded item there. When you say we split that up, what does that mean? And do we have any idea, like any type of easements that are in that particular parcel?
Yep, so the area to the north, if you look, the right-of-way wouldn't line up with the property to the northwest, and that's because there's sewer infrastructure there, and so the cutoff is at a certain location because there is City of Raleigh sewer. And then there are no designated easements on the property. You can see further down, there's actually, the drainage gets a little more defined, but in that property, there is no defined easements. But it does contain like a ditch that stormwater flows through currently.
And to clarify the splitting up part, it's split 50/50.
Splits 50/50.
With 50% going to the right and 50% going to the left properties on, in there, what adjoins them. Anything different would require a different section of statute that we'd have to follow. Like we did with abandonment of right-of-way behind Old Town Hall.
Yep.
Any other questions from the board?
Mayor, I walked it the other day, and I couldn't imagine how much expense you'd have to spend to put a road through there, especially when you have a Main Street access 150 feet down the way. So I don't see why you'd want to have a road there ever, personally.
That's a blue line stream, USGS blue line stream.
That's what I'm saying. That'd be expensive to go over top of that.
Staff also confirmed with Raleigh that they did not need that for any form of utilities.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else from the board?
Make a
And so
motion.
just so you know, that you would do the resolution of intent, and we will bring this item back to you May 11th.
May 11th, okay.
Mayor, make a motion to adopt a resolution of intent to close the road right-of-way and to schedule a public hearing on this for May 11th, 2026.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt the resolution of intent to close the right-of-way and schedule a public hearing on this item for May 11th, 2026. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, item 6B is a request for the addition of a human resource specialist position to the fiscal year 2026 budget. Mr. Collins.
Good evening. So the town opened up a process to backfill an HR position. That was the HR administrator position for an HR specialist. As you can see from your packet materials, the response was tremendous, and the quality of applicants was tremendous. As a result of that, we have 2 selected finalists that are worthy of hire. Looking forward to fiscal year '27, there is a requested position for another HR specialist, and that's needed with the proposed merger of the fire department into the town organization. So that's an anticipated position. Going through this extensive process, having 2 excellent finalists, one of them is not available to start until June, which is just 1 month ahead of the new fiscal year. The logical request to the board then becomes we've identified $8,300, which would cover the 1-month cost of hiring one of the positions a month early that we had proposed for FY '27. And so we would request adding a position for the last month of FY '26 and be able to go ahead and fill that position rather than having to repost and go through another hiring process to potentially get somebody or not as good as the candidate we have in hand. Glad to answer any questions you may have.
All right, any questions from the board? Do you have a motion?
Mayor, make a motion to approve the additional human resources specialist position to the FY 2026 budget.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the additional human resources specialist position in the FY 2026 budget. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Item 6C is personnel policy update, sick
Yeah.
leave.
So now you get a very happy HR director coming up and giving her first presentation.
Sick leave and FMLA, and we're going to hear from Melanie Joyner. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Gray and Commissioners, and thank you for approving that last action. I appreciate it. Otherwise, my walk-up song was going to be Welcome to the Jungle. Being the new HR director, I have the pleasure of both learning our personnel policies and also executing them at the same time. And so this really is just a request to make some edits to the sick leave provisions under the FMLA policy so that staff know what's expected of them with regard to use of paid time off when they're on FMLA. So I'm looking at everything with a critical lens. It's nice to be new because you get to ask questions and make sure that you're doing things that in a way that's legal and consistent. So that's what these minor edits are about. Any questions? Oh, sorry, that's not my job.
It's like, no. Are there any questions from the board?
I do have one quick one.
Yes.
Do we do, just out of curiosity, actually, did any of this have to do with overtime? Have I just been thinking about overtime in my own life recently, or does this include overtime?
So I'm not sure if I understand the
Like
question.
FLA, because I read FMLA and was thinking FLSA. And
Right,
my real
that's what-
question
yeah.
was, do we do like immediate overtime payouts, or do we do like delayed?
So
Was the question.
Yes, our policy is compensatory time in lieu of overtime. However, the town manager has the ability to approve overtime in special circumstances.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the amendments to the personnel policy, sick leave policy, and use of paid time off under the FMLA policy.
All right, we have a motion to approve the amendments to the personnel policy, sick leave policy, and use of paid time off under the FMLA policy. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Item 6D is the Town of Wendell Unified Development Ordinance update for the steering committee.
Yep. Good evening, Mayor and board members. I feel like planning, we have had a wide variety of items tonight, and so this is the last one. We're asking you for a motion to create the Town of Wendell Unified Development UDO Update Steering Committee. As you know, we are in process and under contract with Kimley Horn to complete the project by December 31st, 2026. As part of that process, to update the UDO, a steering committee is included. The committee will meet potentially 3 to 5 times throughout the process to provide feedback and insight into the UDO updates. The committee will meet with a consultant team and town staff. It's also key to note that we'll have our own internal staff, so all of our TRC members that will participate in plan review also will participate in the UDO updates. So engineering and public works staff, as well as planning, fire, Raleigh utilities, all of those types will be an internal group, but this is an external group that represents the community overall. This is a very technical document, so we always want to make sure we have people to actually use the document. And so we're looking at the list, which I believe is in front of you, represents community organizations, interest groups, institutions with local knowledge and expertise in topics related to the UDO. It is key to note we have not reached out to anyone on this list yet. And so we are asking also if there are people who have been identified but cannot serve, we would look for similar type residents or applicants for the steering committee. So for example, if someone is a civil engineer and they are unable to serve, we would look for another civil engineer that we work with as they design site plans using our ordinance. And also, like if a resident who is on their HOA landscaping committee has a real interest in plants and native plants, we would look for someone with a similar interest as we look at the UDO. I can field any questions that you have. We are looking for a recommendation to get this part of the project moving.
Okay, anything from the board?
And just to clarify, these are not decision makers, correct? These are just representatives as part of the process.
Yeah, just to check in for us. We're also looking for them to be community leaders so that, they are participating, giving feedback from their experience, whether they have used the UDO or experience from their neighborhood and work with us as we do some updates to the UDO.
To clarify, steering committees only make recommendations.
Yes.
Only the elected Board of Commissioners can adopt an ordinance, and any UDO update would be an ordinance update. So that would be an action of the board at the end of the day.
Awesome.
And the steering committee is including one of you as a member as well.
Also, if a motion was going to be made, if it could, to Brian's point, include the
Latitude for,
flexibility for
yeah.
staff to replace out, not have to come back every time.
And we are looking at 3 to 5 times throughout the process. We're also looking to have a variety of meetings with you all, doing those 2-on-2s that we held roughly a month ago, looking to do those throughout the process to keep you all informed as a group as well.
I think we've come up with a really great hybrid model to try to accomplish everybody's goals. As you know, I feel strongly about board members serving on steering committees. So if Commissioner Eatman tries to suck all the air out of the room, let me know.
Will do.
I wouldn't dare.
You totally would.
Two of these things over
This
here
one
beside
isn't
you.
mine.
2 gavels.
This one isn't mine. This
One's
one's
for
mine.
throwing and one's for gavel.
Well, no, there's that. There's that. So.
I think my name is on one of those, Deans, if you look.
No.
Now be careful reaching over
No,
there.
I had it tonight. Anyhow, I'm excited that the way we've come up with something that comes back to the board periodically and kind of keeps everybody in the loop. And I think it's important that we do that because when groups like this get appointed and then if it comes back to this board and 2 or 3 things that are really significant gets changed, it makes people wonder why they spent their evenings with y'all, as fun as I'm sure it will be, going over all
Amazing
of that.
times.
I know. I'm kind of envious, honestly. It's going to be great. Well, I know. I might be his date, so I'm just kidding. But I think that you don't want to undermine their efforts and their contributions and then come in and completely rewrite it when it comes up here, because that's not the whole point of the whole thing. So anyhow, anything from anyone?
One quick statement, and I would ask that, or is there a consideration for it, when you do the 2-on-2s, is that going to rotate around so the 2-on-2s change when you come back to us?
I'll give you all,
And
let Mark chime in and.
does it?
We're open to the board's input
I
on
suspect
that
it
and
depends on
availability.
timing and availability. You just don't want to have to be with me.
Mayor's tough. She's tough in the room, I'm just telling you.
Yeah, somebody's got to manage all these people.
I mean, we will
Saying, I
be,
got 2 gavels here.
Brian,
we
can you
will
help
be
me
very
out?
flexible in times and work with you all.
Yeah.
These will not always be night or daytime. We will have a variety of times
Yeah.
available. So you all are working and busy as well.
Yeah. Right,
Thank you.
anything?
It's a comprehensive list for sure, and appreciate the time and effort. Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion
Yep, let's hear it.
to create the Town of Wendell UDO Update Steering Committee, allowing flexibility to staff to name and/or place additional members.
Okay, so we have a motion to create the Town of Wendell UDO Steering Committee, allowing for staff to have flexibility if they need to switch out someone or add members. Is that it? All right, any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right.
Thank you all.
We will move into, we have no other business, commissioners' reports, and we will start with Commissioner Deloge. Bless you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Real quick, Stanley Cup is around the corner. Playoffs begin this weekend. Gotten an update periodically tonight. Apparently, we were tied earlier, so pay attention to your Canes banners around town as you drive. Make sure you pull us through. I do want to thank the Wendell Chamber. Roger is still here. Thank you, sir, not only for speaking on behalf of your members, but you had a great elected officials event this past week, and we were well represented. Obviously, local board, but you had folks from DC, folks from Raleigh, county commissioner. So it was a really nice event. Great time to spend with our electeds, to hear from them. And then obviously, chamber members were there, members of the public. So, good event. So thank you for that. I made a comment earlier about making Wendell better. We did a lot of cool things tonight in a very short, efficient, is what Mayor and I like to say, amount of time. We passed a moratorium. We approved a child daycare. Approved downtown mixed-use project. We approved a site for a school. So if you can't get jazzed up about that, I'm not sure what's going on with you. We did also recognize folks that make Wendell better too, and to have them here, to bring them in front. And I know we normally do a student and a teacher, but you know, to have additional folks to recognize folks and just all the cool things that we have going on. And I expect that we'll hear about it from Tyler. Award-winning Tyler is now.
Multiple award-winning.
You shall refer to him moving forward. So thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, great things happening. You'll touch on meat on Main, I'm sure, but it is that time of year. And I have replaced my mailbox. It's much stronger. I've moved the post back, so it will stay intact for a full year, guaranteed. So thank you.
Commissioner Benson.
I don't want to belabor anything that, has already been said tonight, but I think tonight's agenda was really cool in the sense that it's representative of a lot of the things that we've been hearing, me before I became a commissioner, just as a Wendell resident, seeing these things come to fruition. Buildings that retain their historical charm and value, being able to utilize existing spaces, the promise of, or the appeal of new retail and restaurant and things like that coming, and then also being proactive in putting together a moratorium against a highly controversial industry. So I really hope that citizens feel heard, and if you don't, please know I'm always here to listen. I want to hear your concerns, but I think the things that happened tonight show a really exciting, bright future for Wendell and Wendellians. So thanks.
All right, Commissioner Eatman,
Nothing else tonight.
Commissioner Honeycutt,
Nothing else from me, Mayor.
Commissioner Ingalls.
Didn't think I had anything, but I did want to say real quick that in addition to the cool things we did here tonight and relative to the recognition for our communications, one of our recent videos that's gotten a ton of notice, I can't tell you how many people from around the state have heard about our park ants and have very much been very curious, just almost as curious as we were the night that we approved the project. So kudos again to Tyler for that, and hopefully win an award for that video next year.
Well, by the time we cycle back to me, everything's always been said. So, but this was a great meeting tonight. I'm really particularly proud of all the things that we've accomplished. Yet, well, Chick-fil-A is open in Wendell. So I think Commissioner Deloach ate there 3 times in 24 hours.
I did too. Had the family, 3 meals a day.
We're keeping them in business. So every time I get in my husband's car, there's like little boxes from those little minis in there, and he's supposed to be on a diet. But anyhow, I'm calling him out right here in front of everybody. But there's a lot of great things going on in Wendell, and I'm really proud and excited. We touched on so many things tonight: schools, parking. We haven't talked. No one's mentioned the parking. We're adding some parking downtown and cleaning up some areas that need some attention. Some places down there need some attention, and so I'm just proud of it. I'm proud of all the things that we're accomplishing as a group. And Wendell's, we're just killing it. I hadn't said that in a while, but we're killing it in Wendell. So I'm real proud of it. Reminder, Meet on Main does start Friday night, so come on down there and grab a chair and join us. It'll be a lot of fun. The band is The Switch. I think they start playing at 7, and it'll be a lot of fun. It'll probably be beautiful weather. It'll be perfect to be out. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. All in favor? We're adjourned.
Aye.
Bye.